Hi, my name is Hemang Lahiru. I'm a lawyer and a partner at Smart Move Immigration. Today, we're going to talk about how to start a business in the UK with zero investment. Yeah, that's right. You could start a business in the UK without making any investment. So, when we look at UK as a destination, it's easy to see why it's such a popular place. The ease of starting business, you could start a company in as little as 13 days. It's the world leader in innovation. It has a stable regulatory and political environment. So all of this makes it a very attractive destination from the business perspective. Oh, and not to forget the tax part of it. UK offers a competitive tax environment, particularly in the European context. So all of this makes it a great place to start a business, because if you were looking at starting a business and you wanted to recruit the talent, you have two of the three oldest universities in the world are based in the UK. UK is a home to 140,000 international students, not to mention the local resource which is available, highly skilled, highly trained, ready to plug in and go. Now, this makes it a very attractive proposition. So what else can you get when you start a business in the UK? Well, if your objective was to settle in the UK, you can find a pathway with the settlement visa categories. So you get an initial entry clearance, which is granted for about 3 years. You can then look at extending that visa for another 2 years. And when you've spent 5 years in the UK, you become eligible for what's known as an indefinite leave to remain. And this is known as permanent residence. Spend 5 years in the UK to qualify for the ILR, and in the 6th year, you could naturalize as a British citizen. So not only is your pathway clearly defined, so when you enter in, you can focus on taking care of your business, and you get the benefit of getting a residency as well as a settlement and naturalizing as a British citizen in 6 years' time. Now that's a fantastic opportunity, especially when you look at where you're looking at starting out from. Now, there are different routes that we talk about in terms of entering the UK. If you are a high net worth individual and you have about £2 million to invest in the UK, you could choose the Tier 1 investor pathway. There is a separate section in our videos where we purely focus on the Tier 1 investor for the ultra high net worth individuals. If you had a business presence already in the UK and you already had a company that was set up, you were part of a multinational group, then you could look at applying for the sponsor license and move employees on either an intra-company transfer or a skilled worker visa. UK is a home for innovation, and to support its credentials on the innovators and to support the startups to get into the UK, in 2019, the Home Office introduced the Innovator Visa for those experienced ideas people who have a crazy idea and they want to make a difference. They also had a startup visa for the career freshers, individuals who have no previous business experience, but maybe they've just graduated from universities and finished their courses, but have latched on to an idea that could make their change in the world. The startup visa and the innovator visa are purely driven for tech businesses, for individuals who have ideas at the cutting edge, whether it is deep sciences or medicine even, and that's a destination if you think you can check those boxes. However, what we do want to focus on today is the sole representative visa. The sole representative visa, or officially as it is known as representative of an overseas business, is designed for companies or smaller businesses that want to test the waters in the UK by setting up a branch or a subsidiary. So essentially, if you're a business operating outside the UK and you want to set up a branch or a subsidiary to see how it goes without committing to making an investment, then this is the ideal route for you. The sole representative visa is basically evaluated on 4 parameters. The Home Office wants to have a look at whether this is a viable business in its home country. And it's not necessary that it has to be a longer running businesses. We have supported startup businesses to successfully make this application to nominate someone to be their representative in the UK. The second bit that the Home Office wants to have a look at is whether the business has adequate funds to support its expansion in the UK. Now, the term adequate funds could be interpreted in a variety of ways. Our clients are large-sized companies with turnover running into millions of pounds, and we also have startups who've just started trading but not yet even booked revenue in there. However, the trick is, if you're able to show that you have sufficient funds to nominate someone in the UK, pay for their salaries, pay for their marketing expenses of your office, maybe rent an office if that's a requirement for you. As long as you can evidence that you have sufficient funds to do all of that stuff and have enough to keep your office or your business running in your home country, and you can balance both of those initiatives, you could be an ideal candidate for nominating a sole representative. The Home Office also wants to have a look at the person who's being nominated has to be a senior employee. Now, there are two parts to this. A, the person is an employee of the business, which means you get payroll, you're governed by the rules and regulations of the company, your policies that you are covered under. And the second is the senior part. Now, senior is not necessarily in terms of age. Our youngest sole rep that's entered the UK representing a business was only aged 21 years. And our oldest, well, there's no cap on the oldest. So, unlike some of the other categories of visas for other countries or other business routes, which may have an age cap, so you could age out before you do an application, the sole rep actually doesn't have one. So if you are a senior employee, and by senior, we mean your role in the company. So whether you are a contributor, whether you're a decision maker, whether you take part in negotiations, you're empowered by your company to work on these parameters, that's the key. If your role can be classed as a senior role and you are an employee of the business, you could be a very good candidate for getting nominated by your company. From the applicant's perspective, they only have to meet the English language requirement. Now, it's not as tough as it sounds because the requirement is only at an elementary A1 level. And that too in only two modules, speaking and listening. Yeah, it doesn't get simpler than that in order to qualify for this particular category. Another thing that a senior employee has to be mindful about is that the senior employee should not be a majority stakeholder in the business. And that doesn't mean directly, but also indirectly. So as long as the senior employee is not the majority shareholder, either directly or indirectly, is an employee of the business, so they're not an agent, they're not somebody who's appointed as a distributor, but they're on the payroll of the company, then they could be nominated as the sole representative. Now, when we look at the criteria, the Home Office does not set up any minimum requirements. It doesn't say that you have to invest £2 million like with the investor. It doesn't require you to show £50,000 like with the innovator. But in our experience, we have seen that if you can demonstrate that your business has about £100,000 to £150,000 available for the expansion in the UK, then you would check a lot of boxes with the Home Office and you'll be able to manage their expectations to pay the salaries for the sole rep, to look at the office space, to do any kind of marketing expense that you envisage for your business. So if you looked at the immigration rules, you're not going to find a milestone which says that a company should have £100,000 to £150,000, but it is a guide. You could have more funds, and we have seen businesses with lesser funds being successful as well. But in order for you to be comfortable making that application, we think that this is a milestone that you can aim for. Another thing that a lot of people ask is to say that what should be the turnover of the business in the home country? Well, here's another thing. There is no prescribed turnover, which is fantastic because if you're a startup and you're just getting out of the blocks, you may not actually be booking any revenue. So if you can evidence that you've got external funding, either through third parties or through venture capital firms, or you've raised enough money through your round of equity funding, then even a startup can leverage this and send its senior employee. Because UK is a key market, especially when it comes to a section of population which can spend money, which is willing to try new things, and which is willing to support any kind of innovation or even a regular business idea. So when a business wants to leverage all of these and they're able to demonstrate that yes, they have sufficient funds, the turnover is not a deal breaker. So you could be a startup, you could be a company that's turning over more than £1 million or more than £10 million, and that's just as well. The Home Office will treat your application at the same level. Now that's fantastic, because when you apply as a sole representative, you get another bonus as well. You can actually take your family members with you, and your family members can include your spouse or partner and children till the age of 18. Now, unlike other categories of visas or unlike other programs for other countries, a dependent does not need to apply separately for a permission to work. By default, the dependents have a right to work, which is fantastic because you don't have to leave your career in your home country in order for you to be able to make a difference or start another career in the UK. There are conditions though, if you're a doctor or a dentist or a professional sports coach, and there are different conditions that you would need to meet with that. But again, it is more to do with licensing than the actual ability to work. And the sole representative visa is not only for businesses. If you are a media house and you wanted to nominate a representative to be a reporter, a broadcaster, or a news person in the UK, you could also use this route. So it's suitable for representatives of business houses, but it's also suitable for representatives of media houses. So whether you're a broadcaster, whether you're a studio, whether you're working as a journalist, or whether you've been employed on the news desk, you could get nominated under this route as well. The requirements are slightly different when it comes to the media houses, and actually it's even better because from a media house's perspective, they can send multiple people under this route. For traditional businesses, they're restricted to send only one person because, as the name suggests, it's a sole representative visa. For the media houses, there is an exception. A media house could actually nominate multiple people under this route. And the requirements from the media house's perspective remain the same. If you are employed by the media house has sufficient means to support an office in the UK. And again, there is no commitment on them to have a studio. They could have a lot of equipment that they could be renting or anything on those lines, and that's perfectly acceptable. And a media house doesn't even have to present a business plan in terms of why they're sending a person to the UK, because as a representative, as a broadcaster, as a journalist or a correspondent, you obviously have a very specialist kind of a job profile. So this can work for a lot of regional media houses, it can work for large media chains. In fact, we have several media houses that we've successfully represented who have a national presence to nominate some of the well-known journalists and correspondents to the UK. And that's something which is very interesting if you are a media house. And you could also have your children join you as dependents. And UK, which is a home to a lot of excellent education institutions, offers free education for children till the age of 16. Which means under the Right to Education Act, if your child was going to a local council school in the UK, they would get free education till the age of 16. Now remember, we talked about earlier that you could naturalize as a British citizen in 6 years' time. or you could get permanent status within 5 years. Now, if your children are in the UK and they get settled status within the 5-year period, then their higher education, which is looking at their master's or even their bachelor's degree in certain instances, you could get billed at local student rates. And that's a fantastic saving. I mean, imagine somebody studying for a medical course or even a legal course. The total fees in today's terms for an international student will be in the region of £100,000 to £150,000. Whereas if you had settled status, you could do it for a fraction of that price. That in itself is worth going through that endeavor. Now, with individuals who have entered the UK and they're working in the UK as sole representatives of the overseas business, they can also become eligible for mortgages. Yes, you could take benefit of the incredibly low interest rates in the UK if you wanted to buy a dream home out there. And it allows you the same terms on the mortgage as a local British resident would get. So there's no discrimination in either the rates that you're going to get or in terms of the offering that you could choose from. Now, all of this makes it very convenient for businesses to nominate their senior employees. Now, a lot of times people will be thinking, well, how long does this whole process take? Well, surprisingly, not as long as you think. At the Smart Move to UK, what we look at doing is we have a personalized review process, which is the first stage, it's the starting block of the whole exercise. Now, as a part of the personal review, you meet up with us and we review the facts of your case. We check the eligibility to see whether or not you meet the requirements for the sole representative visa. Once we can ascertain that you do meet the eligibility criteria and the paperwork is in place, we can then start the process of preparing the application. Now, once the documents are put together and your online application is completed, you can then take an appointment at the local Visa Facilitation Center or the Visa Application Center closest to you to submit your application and the biometrics. Once you've submitted your application, it takes the Home Office up to 4 weeks to make a decision on your application. And that's how quickly you could leverage this opportunity to set up a branch or a subsidiary in the UK. In fact, during the pandemic, we had clients who spotted opportunities in the UK in the areas of e-commerce, disposable cutleries, and we were able to process their applications in a record time of 4 to 6 weeks, which meant that those businesses could nominate their employees to be based in the UK and take advantage of the opportunity that was being offered. All of this makes it a fantastic proposition for businesses to explore this particular route to set up a branch or a subsidiary without making or committing to a minimum amount of investment. The businesses are also not obligated to create employment within the UK. So a business which was cost conscious, which wanted to try and test the waters in the UK, could very well have just one senior representative, and they could have people on a contract, or they could drop ship if their business permitted it, or they could take people on board as consultants. All of that would still ensure that they would get their job done in the best possible way without having to worry about meeting the benchmarks of the Home Office. And the best part is, unlike certain businesses like say an Innovator Visa or a Startup Visa, which may have a technical bent and it's more suited for tech-enabled businesses, or the Tier 1 investor, which has a very high threshold of a minimum investment of £2 million, a sole representative visa is suitable for businesses in any industry. At the Smart Move to UK, we have successfully represented clients from diverse industries, from training and development to gems and jewelry, to steel, engineering, retail, hospitality even. So regardless of what is the nature of your business, you would be eligible to apply for a sole representative visa. Now, if this is an area of interest for you, Our contact information is in the description box. Reach out to us and our team. Let us do a preliminary chat to ascertain your eligibility for the sole representative visa. And if that's the right fit for you, you could be making that next step to set up your branch or subsidiary in the UK without committing to any investment. I hope you found this useful. My name is Hemang Lahiru. I'm a lawyer and a partner at Smart Move Immigration. I would encourage you to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can bring you more updates. Thank you very much.